Modern Horizons is a unique new set that's about to hit the market, but I have two major problems with it. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Welcome to my Modern Horizons product analysis. You may have noticed that the intro is back. I missed it, in all honesty. I recorded a few videos under the other system. I know that Carly's no longer the editor, so this video is going to be edited by me. It may turn out to be worse, I don't know. I'm gonna have to learn how all this works. But truthfully, I realized that I'd be missing out on a bunch of opportunities to make my videos more enjoyable for me if I didn't figure out how to do what she does, and eventually she may need my help. So, we'll see how it goes. All that aside, let us talk about Modern Horizons, a product with a lot of promise, but unfortunately, due to execution, turned out fairly poor. So basically, here's what's going on. For those of you who don't know, Modern Horizons, brand new Magic the Gathering expansion. It will be released in booster packs, just regular old booster packs of 15 cards like normal. Every pack does not have a foil. In terms of foils showing up, they show up with normal distribution. Now, these packs do have full art snow-covered lands, and that's something that will matter for people who want full art snow-covered lands. They do have these art insert cards, and as someone who appreciates the art of Magic a lot, I like these inserts. We will talk about how it's not enough for me based on everything else in regards to this set, but there are a few major problems I have with this. One problem I have with this upcoming expansion is the way that it was marketed to us. Now, the set is called Modern Horizons, okay? And the way that it's described in the marketing materials on Wizards of the Coast website says, we are unleashing these cards on the modern format, and all these cards have never been in the modern format. They made a big deal. They made a lot of noise about how this set was going to be entering Modern. Now, when most people think of Modern, they think specifically of more competitive play. There aren't a lot of people who bandy about when people are talking about casual Magic, they're usually talking about things like EDH or you can play with everything in the history of Magic. You don't normally hear people talking about casual Modern. So technically the Modern format is everything 8th edition onwards. It's actually named after the border frame change where they changed the way that the card's outer frame looked, and that determined like a new age in Magic. There's like the Golden Age and things like that. So this is the Modern Age, basically 8th edition onwards. And normally how sets would be added into Modern is they would be put through Standard first. They would get dropped into Standard, and once something becomes Standard legal, it becomes legal for Modern automatically as well. That's how it's always worked in the past. So if they did side sets like the Commander decks or things like that, none of that would count towards Modern. Now they decided, hey, you know what we want to do with this set? We want to skip releasing it in Standard and we want to put this straight into Modern. Now, when you name a set Modern Horizons, you say you're unleashing these cards on Modern Horizons and you forego putting the cards through Standard. It leads people to think that this set is too powerful for Standard, that it's going to make an impact on the Modern competitive format. Now, let me say this. We don't want a set where they make an insane amount of overpowered stuff for Modern, because then that warps the format so much that it's basically like you have to be playing with Modern Horizons to stand a chance. And that's not what you want to do. But you would expect this set to bring in cards that would be roughly on Modern power levels. Not overpowered, but equal powered to what exists out there. Things that are going to shake things up a bit, add to pre-existing decks, maybe birth some new decks. But a lot of people, this was very common across a lot of people, thought that this was going to be a set that genuinely impacted Modern. That's the way they started marketing it to us. Now, the truth came out in dribs and drabs where you would look here or there and find different pieces of information. It's things like Mark Rosewater talking about how, first of all, you need to know this is an innovation. They call it an innovation set, where it's just they throw these out in the middle of the year kind of thing to be like, hey, guess what? We can grab some more paper from you, son. People were getting overwhelmed with too many standard sets. So now they are like, well, I guess we'll just release some outside standard sets. You may get what I'm talking about if you're from like the old school cold snap days where they just tried to shove so many expansions into standard that it burned people out. So they dialed that back to a degree, but then they decided to just come forward with extra stuff that doesn't exist inside of standard. So we have this situation where a lot of people think that this is going to be a powerful set for Modern. It turns out, hearing talk from things like Mark Rosewater and also the person who is like lead on the design team for this, the set was actually, according to Mark Rosewater, this was supposed to be Time Spiral 2. Now, it wasn't marketed to us as Time Spiral 2. And the lead developer talked about how he liked janky cards, garbage cards, so cards that aren't very good. So that kind of stuff was going to be in the set as well. So you've got those combined with another factor where the set specifically is using a ton of slush art. Now, if you don't know what slush art is, it's art that was actually painted for a completely different card than the card it ended up on. There can be any number of reasons that a piece of art becomes orphaned from its card, so it's no longer, if they change the concept of a card, but they've already ordered the art for it, that's been painted, they own the artwork, and they just set it aside in a file to eventually be used on some card. A lot of times they would slide one in here or there in the core set, but most of the time when it comes to slush art, it's obvious that it doesn't really fit the card perfectly. Now, to Wizards of the Coast credit, most of the time, the cards we get from them have the proper art and everything ties together in terms of flavor and art nicely. When we have slush art, you end up with a lot of cards that are a little bit discordant in that when you look at them, everything doesn't tie together. When the name, the flavor text, the ability, and the artwork all tie together, it feels right. And it shows they've put in that extra effort. Now, by some accounts, Modern Horizon was thrown together in a week as a tribute to Time Spiral. And Time Spiral was a really, really cool set for people like me. If you've been playing Magic the Gathering for a long time, sets like Time Spiral are nice because it has a bunch of nods to all kinds of different cards from throughout different years and different blocks. So there'll be cards from all kinds of different worlds with different abilities. Now, when they did the Time Spiral one, though, they focused on like bringing themes to it where it was like, it had some kind of cohesion to it and things were nods to other blocks. This set really feels like underneath it, to me, what they did was say, we've got a ton of this old artwork. Why don't we just make a nostalgia Time Spiral 2-esque set where we have cards nodding out to all kinds of different worlds and different cards. And I enjoy that. Like, personally, I really like the concept of that. And I think that that is actually a good use of slush art if it's done properly. But there's so much in the set that just feels like it's all slapped together and it was done quickly, not lovingly, just quickly in an attempt to just get this set done and just be like, okay, we used a ton of our old artwork, so it really saved us a bunch of money in that we've already paid for all this and didn't get to use it, so we don't have to outlay for new art. And there were a bunch of different posts, literally, of artists coming out talking about how they did art 8 years ago and was finally getting used in this set. There was posts even from people who work for Wizards talking about how hard it is to design specifically to slush art. So the further I went through the set review for this, the more I started to feel there's a lot that doesn't fit right. So you take a set that was put together hastily, and I feel like they threw it together as Time Spiral, and then somebody in marketing or whatever said, hey, can we dump these cards into Modern? Like, really, would it be feasible to put these cards into Modern? And then the team just kind of looked at it and went, yeah, I mean, the cards, like, most of this stuff is so weak, it wouldn't even make an impact in Standard, truthfully, because they shove so much random, like, draft chaffed into the sets, which is it is frustrating to have that dumped on you. But that's an epidemic in Magic and not just specific to this set. So you've got this situation where it feels like they cobbled it all together. The marketing team has said, hey, can we just put this stuff into Modern? Would that be fine? They go, sure. And they're like, all right, we're going to market this with Modern in the name, so it makes people kind of think of the Modern Master sets. And we're going to say it's going to be unleashing these cards on Modern when it's really dumping these cards into Modern. Are you kidding me? 5 mana for a 3/5 flying wall that you can pay a mana to give the ability to attack to? Now, there are people, I've talked about some of this stuff before, and there are detractors who will say, oh, they couldn't do this. This would tank the price of Modern and everything like that. It's just all this insane nonsense justifying this, because we're gonna talk about the second problem I have with the set. Because in all honesty, if you were to take away the way that they advertise this, which is my big quibble, and then the second issue, which is the price, if you were to fix both of these elements, I would actually like the set. If this set was called Time Spiral 2, and it was just like, check it out, we used a bunch of old artwork and made a nod to all these different worlds with all this different stuff, I would have looked at it and went like, I like this. It's got Sarah, it's got Urza, it's got Yawgmoth. That's exciting to me. I'm on board. But when it's mismarketed in a way where at first we all got hyped thinking, wow, this is really going to impact Modern. And then that's like, oh, that's not the case. Oh, and by the way, the price is pretty much doubled. Wizards of the Coast has done something underhanded, in my opinion, where they've gotten rid of MSRP. And it's a way for them to not have to go, oh, it's not our fault, we don't set the prices. But yet at the same time, they're going to sell their boxes to distributors at a certain point. The distributors are going to have their percentage of markup, and the retailers are going to have their percentage of markup. And that's always based on the base price coming from Wizards of the Coast. So they really do get to set the MSRP. And at the same time, they can't hide it from us fully because of MTGO. When they announced this, they said, we don't have an MSRP for physical cards, but on MTGO, the packs will be like $7.99 or whatever it was. So they're basically saying this set is worth roughly double, and it's going to cost roughly double what normal expansions cost. Like when they go to Ravnica or whatever other world, they have to design all the cards to that, get all the artwork for that, and tie it together cohesively. They can do all that, including creating a brand new storyline, and it comes to us for the regular price of booster packs. Now we come to Horizons Masters, and all of a sudden it's doubled, but with no justification. There's not more effort put into the set, and they don't even have the weak excuse they had with the Master set, which is what a lot of people leaned on, but I wasn't willing to accept, is that they have a bunch of stuff that's expensive on the secondary market. And I really do not like products where Wizards stares at the secondary market and goes, let's just reprint really big expensive cards, but only in a certain amount and all that. It's not about getting the actual cards into people's hands. It's about trying to maintain scarcity and really high prices on the cards. And that's a frustrating experience for me. But at least with the Master sets, they could say that part. They could go, oh, hey, look, remember this card that was $80? We're reprinting it, so now you'll be able to pick them up for maybe $60 or $70. That kind of a thing, where it's like, buy these packs because you have a chance of getting the big card. But people want to point to the value of certain cards from this set, but they don't. These prices aren't predetermined by actual supply and demand. When you have an $80 card in Modern, that generally means it's been around for years and years, and the price has gone up because everybody wants them. They're all fighting for the limited amount of copies that exist. That's how you get to that prices. When Wizards of the Coast just arbitrarily doubles the cost of a box, that means that all the retail single sellers, the different websites, your Starfaces and whatever else, you know what I'm talking about, those kind of websites, those guys make up prices. They just make up prices that it'd be really nice for you to pay. That's how they do it. That's it. It's just let's just make up prices for these things. That's what these websites do. So the pre-release prices and things like that can't be looked at as a justification for why this set is double. The pre-release prices are a side effect of the pricing of the boxes. That's what's going on. It's a side effect of the boxes being overpriced and not like a resultant effect. Do you see the difference? Where there's no justification for this cost. So they're selling us a double costed set that has a bunch of repurposed artwork. They've mismarketed the set where, to me, they completely misrepresented what it is. And that's really, at the end of the day, unwise of them, because you can tell from the way they stamped down in the corner MH1, they intend to do this again. But they're not going to be able to get the same level of hype. There are people who locked in pre-orders for this. People who actually have commented on my videos saying, I pre-ordered, I put down a deposit on one of these boxes without having any concept of what they were going to cost because the information wasn't available. And now finding out that it's double, I don't want to buy it, but I feel obligated because I told the store I would. That's not a good position to have your customers in. Wizards of the Coast, it just feels like they missed the master sets and they discontinue them because they didn't sell well. But they're still somehow going, well, we need a set that costs more. There's no justification for this. This set costs less to make than something like Battle Bond, which is another innovation set they did that was just based around sports and esports. And it was another quickly slapped together set. But for some reason, this one's double? What is the justification? Because they're allowing you to use the cards in Modern? Like, there's no way to justify the cost. So when you put both those factors on the table, I have a really hard time recommending this product. I know this is a little bit different than some product analysis where it's like breakdown, whatever. But in all honesty, there are some cards in this set that people really want. There's a bunch of cards for Commander. I genuinely feel like the set itself is, the box set, you know, of the boosters is overpriced. And I can't in all good conscience recommend that you buy this and encourage that they do this again with Modern Horizons 2, where they just go, you know what, we're just going to pull a bunch of old art, slap together a bunch of who cares cards, and have a couple of exciting cards. Because this set does have some exciting cards. For people who are old school like me, it's got Urza and Yawgmoth. Really like that. Sarah, that's really cool too. It has cards for commanders as well. You got your big fat Morphling Lord and some other cards that scream put me in a commander deck. So there are some desirable cards in this set, but it feels like it is a quickly cobbled together set that should have been sold at the regular booster price. I can't get behind the price of this, and that's what makes this a not recommend for me. If you can get it at a lower price tag, closer to an original booster box, which I imagine isn't going to happen because people keep giving Wizards of the Coast money no matter if the card quality gets bad or whatever. And there's a whole contingent of people too who like consider, do I invest in this box? Do I buy them? Do I hold on to them? So with the truth is it takes a while for these things to diminish in sales enough for people to give up. I mean, it took all the way until past Masters 25 before Wizards realized we can't keep this Masters things going. It's not sustainable. People aren't digging it. We're overprinting it. We're losing here. Well, this Modern Horizons is probably going to sell just based on the novelty, and it's just I feel like it's a mistake to buy boxes of this. But that's just, understand, that's my personal perspective. If you don't care about the mismanagement and you feel, not mismanagement, sorry, mismarketing of it, then and you don't care about that and you want a bunch of the cards, by all means, get what you want with your money. I just wanted to sit down, talk about Modern Horizons and say, like, look, I mean, you're getting half of what you pay for, basically. By double paying, you're getting half of what you pay for. You should be getting way more for your money with this. And so it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. This set, I always have a hard time, not a bad time, well, a bad time too, but I always have a hard time with these overpriced sets that they make where I really can't justify it because it tends to be using, like with the master sets, it's just a bunch of reprints and they're pointing at the secondary market without pointing at the secondary market. They're letting people online go, oh, look at all the value in this, look at all the value in this. And Wizards of the Coast essentially gets to print money. So it's one thing when they want to give us valuable reprints. It's another when they want to give us a set of a whole bunch of new cards that they're unleashing on Modern when they really are just dumping them on Modern. So that's my opinion on it. Again, I want to mention this video was edited by me. So either the stuff that's included or missing, I get some credit for that. Yeah. I look forward to what else I can figure out how to do. We're going to have some fun with that going forwards. Now it's time to roll the golden scroll. These are the people who have my back on Patreon or through channel memberships. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. I appreciate everything that you do. I am welcoming aboard 2 new members on my Patreon. Welcome, Freddie and Dreadnought. Thanks for signing up. Genuinely appreciate it. Now I'm guessing it's time for me to go. So that means I'm history, baby.